Hey guys, this is Tim from Decoding Panels under the Codex Podcast banner. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you know when we've got this and other great stories coming your way, along with new episodes of the Codex Podcast. All right, ready? Sit back, relax, and let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Decoding Panels. This week, like with Dark Ages, what we're going to do is we're going to get started on a brand new storyline here, currently hitting comic shops. And like with Dark Ages, Tom Taylor is the man behind the quill on this one, so to speak. So we have Dark Knights of Steel #1. Now, the credits for this tale goes as follows. Tom Taylor is the writer, Yasmin Putri is inks, colors, and pencils, and letters go to Wes Abbott. Now, I know very little about this, so I'm going to be learning right along with you guys as it's going on, what happens, and all those neat little cliffhangers at the end of each issue. Now, from what I gather, this is in the vein of an Elseworld story, so not inside current continuity, and the heroes and villains of the DC Universe are in this medieval setting. Now, that sounds really awesome to me. I love fantasy, I love comic books, and putting those two together is like beer and pizza, or coffee and donuts, or any two things, really. Now, I'm excited to get started on this, so if you're ready, follow me, the Bard of Codex, as I tell you the tale of Dark Knights of Steel. Krypton. The planet is on the verge of destruction. It's said that most prophecies are whimsically ignored. Laura, it's started. Sometimes, however, there are some events foretold that cannot be cast aside. Jor-El can see the city crumble. He knows the planet has minutes left. It's happening now! No, it can't be, Laura says, holding close to her husband. I'm so sorry. This is the only chance we have for our son. I think we all know what happens next. Now, I think it's safe to say that if we ignore those events, those prophecies, not only is that an errand for fools, but it could also spell disaster. The end of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, knights, nobles, I bring to you the beginning. This prophecy starts as many others do, from the stars. This is a tale we've heard before. A ship from the far reaches of space enters the planet's atmosphere, hurtling towards its destination. With a loud and aggressive impact, this rocket finally comes to its end in an open field, as before. Its outside is cooling, and a hatch shoots off. But here is where the tale starts to be different. What before should have been just a baby, we now have a father holding the hand of a mother, ready to give birth. Jor-El, he's coming! The prophecy says they will look just like us. We can now hear the trample of many horses making a fast approach. Jor-El! Laura screams, knowing the time is now. He knows they're surrounded. Please, we mean you no harm. He holds his hands up, pleading. Now, the prophecy also says they will sound like us. Jor-El begs. His wife is in labor. Can't you see? Arrows fly. Laura screams again for her husband, and Jor-El shouts in surprise and defiance. Though the prophecy says all these things, it also tells us they will not be like us. They will be demons. Jor-El's eyes light with fire, red rays leaving his pupils to vaporize those who would do his wife, and now his child, harm. He hears the cries, but not from Laura. No, this is from a baby boy, his son, Kal-El. What happened? Laura asks, holding her son close as Jor-El leans in. It's okay, he says, more concerned with them now. Jor-El holds his son close. Everything is going to be okay, he says to his wife, the mother of his son. Behind him is the kingdom, that which fate has brought them to, and our story begins. But remember these last words from the prophecy. It tells us they will look like us, sound like us, but they will not be like us. They will be demons, and they will take over our world. The Kingdom of Storms. "They're here!" a voice shouts from inside the hut 2 soldiers guard. They are here indeed. As we peer inside, we see a young man, his eyes wide, the words of what some would consider nonsense coming out from his lips, while others take the words as warnings. A scribe writes these ramblings down. "They have stepped from their world to ours." Quill takes the words down on parchment. "The green man, he waits. Fire and blood. Gods will be born and killed." More writing. The scribe turns. "You shouldn't be here for this, my lord." He is speaking to his king. "My king, this is not fit for—" "Keep writing." The king, King Jefferson, says sternly. More ramblings are put to paper. "Castles will fall. People are torn apart as easily as paper. Faster than a bolt from a crossbow." The writing continues as the words are spoken. "My lord, the Constantine boy is speaking nonsense." Continue Eddings, every single word. The king knows these words are dire. "More powerful than fortified castle walls. Soaring like an eagle over moats and trebuchets. Look, in the sky." "What is it?" the king asks. "What do you see?" The trance is over. The young Constantine comes to and looks to the king. "I see our end," he says. Our end. 19 years later, at the castle of El. A young Kal-El seems very excited as he walks up to a knight. "Bruce, I'd love to go with you," he shouts, his hand on his sword ready to go. "No." Simple, but firm. Kal-El can't take that as a final answer. "You rely on children to work for you, yet you won't let me come along? Am I now incapable?" "Kal-El, you are basically a god," Bruce says, putting his helmet on. "I am not a god." Kal-El is wounded by those words, yet continues. "My lord," Alfred says, prepping his saddle, "you shoot fire from your face." "Yes, thank you, Alfred, I have noticed." Bruce mounts his horse. "I know very well you are capable," he says, looking down to Kal-El. "I have sworn to protect you and your family from that which could harm you. I'll be on my way to face a banshee's magic. I could not lead you into danger." Kal-El holds fast, determined. "Would you not also be in danger? Are you now immune to magic, Bruce?" Bruce gives him a very cold stare. "Please, my lord, stay here." Bruce rears his horse and rides. Alfred comes along to young Kal-El before heading after Bruce. "My lord, that look he gave you, that glare is what he uses when he's lost an argument." Later that night, Feist Village. The gates are open as Bruce calls for his robins. "Richard, Duke, report." As quick as they are called, they appear. "We have tracked the banshee back to the Pullman," Richard says. Duke continues. "The other robins are leaving the inn now." Alfred pulls his sword. "I'll watch here, at the gates, in case she escapes you and heads this way." "She won't," Bruce states, heading inward. The Pullman Inn. One of the robins, Jason, pulls a man from inside the inn. "Jason, is there a reason why you're bringing that man outside?" "Well, he's unconscious, and that kind of makes walking hard, you know." Young Jason brings the man out further and explains the situation. "He's the innkeeper. I tried to convince him to leave, but he wouldn't." Bruce delegates. "Stephanie will now take care of all reasonings from now on. For some reason, when you do it, Jason, the result is oftentimes people like the innkeeper is now." Stephanie is arriving with her report. The inn is clear aside from the banshee still inside. She's holed up in a room at the back of the inn. She is alone, and the door to that room is bolted from the inside. Bruce pulls his sword. You've all done well. I'm going in. A door creaks, and a sword is pointed. Get up. Slowly. The Banshee is surprised. The door was bolted from the inside. How is it possible he got in? You know who I am, yes? Bruce says, sword still pointed. Yes, you're the bastard Bat Prince. Then you know not to attempt escape. The Bat Prince begins his questioning. Are you an assassin, sent by King Jefferson? The Banshee replies calmly. I wish no harm to the elves, no matter how much they wish to harm me. As quickly as the single question is asked, judgment is just as easily placed. Magic is outlawed in this kingdom. Your kind also. You are in violation of the law, and henceforth will be imprisoned. You will not be harmed if you come along quietly. Now there is disdain. Dinah is my name, she says, and as for quiet... The inn erupts with her voice, her scream. Walls shatter, windows disintegrate into shards as the robins below run for cover. It does not stop as the bastard prince covers his ears in a futile attempt to drown out her sound. Her voice stops and the dust begins to settle. Slowly, Bruce begins to stand. How are you not dead, she asks. You should have been torn to shreds. Bruce is as surprised as her, blood pouring out of his now damaged ears. Face to face, she screams again, louder. In the blink of an eye, a hand covers her mouth, quieting her. Kal-El now stands before the Banshee. You look like no monster to me. You just look frightened. She looks up to him. He can see fear in her eyes as the pummel of Bruce's sword connects with her head. The Banshee is down. Kal-El picks her up, looking at Bruce. Was that necessary? You know you weren't supposed to be here. We should find a way to keep her silent. Yes, Bruce says. It is very apparent he is still hurt, and Kal sees this. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. There's an awful lot of blood coming from your ears. You don't look okay. I'm fine. His tone is just a little more firm. Sure, Kal is not convinced. Bring her, Bruce says. She belongs in the dungeons with the rest. Bruce! Harley Quinn, the court jester. Bruce rides past saying nothing. You know there's an unconscious lady on the back of your horse. If you're trying to make a centaur, that's not really how it works. Not today, Quinn. I have no wish to be part of your torment. But it's so fun and very easy. Dark, brooding, mysterious, and with those tiny little ears. Harley, that's enough, Kal commands. Oh, all right, but only because you're both in enough trouble as it is. Your parents would like to see you, Kal. The main chambers of Kal-El, the throne room for king and queen. Both Kal-El and Bruce stand before them. Why did you take Kal with you, the king commands. I apologize, my lord, Bruce says. It was a lapse in judgment. Do not lie for me. I went on my own, father. I see, the king says. Kal, we only want you to be safe. We want to protect you. Kal stands defiant. He knows he's right. I will not stand idly by while Bruce and his robins keep us safe. Not while swords and axes break when they touch my skin. You found the Banshee? We did. She is in the dungeon now with the others. She has been quieted. Do you think she was coming for us? Kal answers this. She wasn't coming for us. We came for her. Bruce also answers. One of my robins reported an assassin with magical abilities sent for us. Kal-El continues, pleading his case. That doesn't mean it was her. Father, you've talked about all the good we've brought here, yet we put away innocents. None of them are innocent, Bruce says. Jor-El's tone is now that of a king. We are the last of our race, Kal-El. I will do whatever I see fit to ensure our survival. And I, Bruce says, kneeling, will do whatever it takes to continue to protect you, my lord and lady. The Queen steps forward, helping Bruce back to his feet. Bruce, we've told you many times that your parents were our friends. This house is as much yours as it is ours. You do not need to kneel in it. If I had my way, it would be you on this throne instead of us. They see you as a god. I'm just a bastard. This offends Kal-El greatly. And who cares? The entire kingdom does. The kingdom I serve. The traditions in this kingdom do not stop on the whims of a smiling spaceman. Your traditions are some of the most idiotic, backwards. Enough of this. Bruce, walk with me. Lightning strikes in the distance, and King Jor-El and Bruce, the bastard prince, stand atop the castle. It's a storm, Bruce. I have reason to fear the thunder and lightning, as well you should too. Jor-El looks to the young prince. What's wrong, Bruce? I have fear, my lord. I've kept silent. Last night, as wood and stone were destroyed all around me, I should have been disintegrated right along with those. I should have died, my lord. This isn't the first time either. I have made an oath to protect you, the family, from magic, but when the green man attacked us... Bruce pauses for just a moment. I can do things. I have reason to believe there is dark magic within me. Lock me away with the rest, my lord. I have been cursed. We pause for a moment to go to Hob Forest, where a young man sits on a tree branch, this ranger, looking over one of his arrows. This doesn't feel right. It feels cowardly, dishonest. A hand comes in, green power emanating from a ring worn. The ring, it spoke to me, Oliver. It told me this is how you save the world. Are you sure it will work? It will travel the distance. The magic will take care of the rest. The only question remains is how true your aim is. The powered arrow is notched into Oliver Queen's bow. My aim is never in question, he says, a smirk across his lips as he pulls back and releases. Back to the House of El. You have more reason to hate magic than anyone, Bruce. But you are not cursed. I'm sorry you feel this way, but I am even more sorry that you have carried this with you, even as I have hidden my own guilt. The rain pours down as the two men talk. You knew you were a bastard. Thomas and Martha never kept that from you, or the kingdom. There was too much misplaced honor for that. Your mother and I... Jor-El trails for a moment before continuing. You were a mistake, but you are not a mistake. What your mother and I did was. Bruce, I tell you now, you are my son. It's why I feel you should sit on the throne. 2 kings have loved you. The arrow hits true to its mark. In an instant, a moment of revelation, the king is dead. As he falls, Bruce, the bastard prince, reaches for him, for who he now knows as his father. But it's too late. Lightning crashes and red eyes begin to flare. Someone will pay. Wow, I did not see that one coming. That is honestly a twist in a comic book that I would never have expected to see, and Tom Taylor writes that magnificently. I love the feel of this. I love the setting. I love the artwork. I love everything about this. I am super excited to see the remaining issues in this series, and I believe it's a 12-issue maxi series, so that's even cooler. I am very, very curious and very excited to see where this goes from here, and I hope you guys are too, because we're going to be bringing this to you every month until it's finished. All right, if you guys liked what you saw and you heard here today, be sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and hit the notification bell so that way you'll know when the next episode comes out. As always, my name is Tim. This is Decoding Panels under the Codex Podcast banner, and I will see you next time.